Pyramid Code. Opening Message. As promised by TLS, the light system, the document titled The Pyramid Code is being released today, 9th of September 2020 at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This document is being released in 2 languages, Hebrew, the original, and English, the translation. Feel free to save it and share it with whomever you'd like. This is a historical document, not a religious document, which depicts the first-hand experiences of a man who lived during the era of ancient Egypt. I urge you to read the document more than once, since it may leave you confused after the first read. There are many hidden messages within the document that may become apparent after reading it several times. Please remember, I'm just the messenger. My task is to transport this information from point A to point B and eventually to point Z through you. True awareness and pure consciousness will eliminate myths such as COVID-19, pedophiles such as Jeffrey Epstein, monsters like Hitler, corrupt leaders and politicians, and many other disturbing social, political, and economic issues throughout the world. The world needs a major cleanse ASAP. It's time to wake up and take action. It is important for me to emphasize that the person who created this document did so under the instructions of TLS. He is personally against the publication of this document at this time, in addition to any other documents related to him and his work. One of the many reasons that he is against publishing this information, as opposed to TLS, is because he believes that people are not ready yet, especially without revealing the codes. He also knows and understands that the people who are mentioned in this document, who worked with him and are close to him, will most likely realize his identity. It is his wish for them not to reveal his identity and to remain anonymous. This man possesses a vast amount of valuable information that could be critically useful for us all. The only reason I was given this honourable task is due to the fact that he refused to publish it himself, and he exercised his freedom of choice to not cooperate with TLS in this specific matter. It is my wish and hope that, within time, I will be able to convince him to come forward and reveal all the documents, the information and the codes that are in his possession and in the possession of TLS in order to share it with the masses. I am respectfully requesting from each and every individual who is aware of his identity to respect his wishes of preserving his anonymity for now, so we shall have a better chance of inducing him to reveal more information to the public in the future. In addition, I would like to use this opportunity to implore TLS and my dear friend, the creator of this document, to come forward and exercise full transparency and reveal any and all information, past, present, and future, for our sake and the sake of the greater good. It all began on June 9th, 2018. I was approached by a man who was, and still is, quite close to me. This man had, and still has, unbelievable depths of experience and knowledge. Over the last 2 years, he has given me access to very valuable information. Some of this information includes his affiliation with a very powerful undercover organization, his first-hand knowledge of the spirit world, his first-hand knowledge and experience with extraterrestrial life, his memories of reincarnations from the distant past, such as ancient Egypt, his first-hand knowledge of the mysticism and construction of the pyramids, and much more that will be elaborated on in the following document. Initially, I had doubts, and rightfully so. Although the information shared was extraordinary and quite unbelievable, much of it made sense to me due to my foundation of knowledge that I cultivated over the years. Despite the fact that the information made somewhat logical sense to me, it was still extremely difficult to believe and fully comprehend. It all sounded like a fairy tale to me until February 6th, 2020. On that evening, I had first-hand experience that confirmed and validated all of the information that he has blessed me with over the past 2 years. I was spoken to and given orders by a very respectable man in the TLS, the Light System, organization, who is known to me as Rabbi AA. Please note that TLS has nothing to do with religion. The nature of the TLS organization, which is an underground organization that has been in existence for thousands of years, as well as the background of Rabbi AA, will be addressed in detail in the following document that is before you. The man who has blessed me with the process of receiving such valuable information has been and will always be a big part of my journey into this new world of personal awareness. The information contained in this document that you are about to read is a true and accurate account of the beginning of his journey into the spirit world in this reincarnation, his memories from a very important past reincarnation in ancient Egypt, his knowledge and wisdom of the sacred mysticism of the pyramid, as well as his knowledge of the new age in which humanity is heading towards. It is his request that he would like to remain anonymous. Please note that all of the names, with the exception of my own, have been changed in order to preserve the anonymity of the man who wrote this document. I have been given permission to reveal my affiliation in this man's past reincarnation in ancient Egypt and the mysticism and construction of the pyramids. I believe that he, along with the TLS organization, have blessed me with the opportunity to publish this document for several reasons. First and foremost, I believe that the information in this document will provide whoever reads it access to a new level of awareness and consciousness that will be necessary in the near future, for reasons that will be addressed in the document. Secondly, it is my understanding that I am being prepared to publish a very important and high vibrational book, also written by this man, called Rays of Light. Rays of Light is an 864-page book filled with a vast amount of insights and wisdom about the true nature of the universe that we live in. More information regarding Rays of Light will be addressed in limited detail in the following document that is before you. The third reason I believe that I have been chosen to publish this document is because I happen to be a part of the reincarnation that this man remembers, with in-depth details from the year 1312 BC, which corresponds to the time of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Lastly, I understand that he would like to remain anonymous in order to avoid dealing with the many people who may perceive him as insane. He made it very clear that although he is aware that the information he holds is quite valuable and will play a big role in raising and changing the vibration of the collective consciousness here on Earth, he would rather let it all be exposed either by somebody else or after his death in order to not have to deal with the consequences, both positive and negative, of revealing such information. For the reasons I have stated before, and probably many other reasons that I am not aware of, I was asked to be that somebody else. Those who are ready to receive this information will not just believe, but they will know that the information in this document is absolutely true. My intention of publishing this document is not to persuade the reader of the validity of this document. My intention is simply to plant the very necessary seeds of knowledge and awareness that I am sure will sprout and flourish when humanity as a whole is ready. I am aware that many may call me a fraud, and that is okay. I hope it is clear at this point that I don't see publishing this document as a choice. I understand the strength that it holds in energetically raising the vibration and level of awareness of humanity, which is why I see it as an absolute obligation, regardless of how some may perceive me as a result of doing so. I don't believe that I have the right to hold back such valuable information out of the fear that others may look at me differently. My experiences over the past 2 years have allowed me to understand that personal sacrifices must be made in order to bring humanity to a new level of awareness. And after all, I feel that is my purpose and my destiny here on earth. Such sacrifices are the reason why I live. I would have no reason to be here if I was not aligned with my purpose and my destiny. It is my belief that if you are currently reading this, although you may not be ready to accept the information that you are about to read, you are most definitely ready to receive it. Otherwise, it would not have come into your possession to begin with. I ask you to read the following information with not just an open mind, but most importantly, with an open heart. Allow yourself to step out of mind and logic and into heart and love. Allow it to speak to your spirit and resonate with your soul. I wish us all the best of luck in our journey of reaching a higher level of awareness, a journey filled with light, peace, and love. May this information play a role in helping us unite as one, and most importantly, may it bring us one step closer to true bliss and the age of love. LPL. Jason Joseph Shurka. The Pyramid Code. Written by Anonymous. Table of Contents. 1. Introduction. A. Journey into the Spirit World. B. The Light System, TLS. C. Rays of Light. D. My Orders. 2. My First Incarnation. A. They Came from the Heavens. B. Growing Up. C. Amram. D. The Fatasol Dynasty. E. After the Exodus. F. The Priesthood. G. Military Men. H. Moses. I. Reflecting on my past. J. The Holy Temple. K. Abraham and Sarah. 3. The Pyramid. A. Connecting the physical and the spiritual. B. The original divine race. C. Technology of the pharaohs. D. A new age. E. Mysticism of the pyramid. F. Structure of the pyramid. G. Heavenly winds and the Garden of Eden. H. Hidden mysticism. I. The pyramid. J. The pyramid star. And K. The power of thought. 4. The age of love. A. a new level of consciousness. B, internal dissonance. And C, a bright future. Introduction. Finally, after a long period of time, I was permitted by my superiors to document my first incarnation and the reincarnation of my soul family from the year 2448 according to the Hebrew calendar, 1312 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. As always, permission from my superiors at TLS, the light system, always comes with more conditions. This time, the condition was that in addition to documenting my first incarnation, I must also write about the Pyramid Code, knowledge, science, and mysticism of the pyramids, to the best of my ability, without revealing the operational codes. It's difficult for me to even believe that this is happening, and it's even more difficult to understand why they would require this without the code. I don't understand the logic of writing this without the code. After all, the code would reveal the true essence of the information that exists within this document and would allow the reader to gain an immense amount of sacred wisdom, knowledge, and information. Regardless, Rabbi A.A. has demanded that I write it without the codes, which is the reason why I am going to do so even though I don't understand the reason behind it. Although I don't understand the reason for doing so, I am still grateful for the opportunity. I will do my best to document the reincarnations, and I will try to explain the essence of the Pyramid Code with the hope that my memory does not betray me. First, I will begin with my personal story of my first incarnation regarding 2448. However, it is my duty to briefly explain what had transpired in my life over the last few years, since January 29th, 2010, until today. Journey into the spirit world. For a reason unknown to me, my journey began on January 29th, 2010, into the spirit world. It is a journey that is unexplainable and very confusing to me, especially at that stage of my life. At the time, I was a normal person who was married with children, a secular Jew who was quite far from the awareness of the spirit world. I wouldn't have defined myself as an atheist, a high priest, nor a pope. At most, I was a secular and traditional Jewish man. Different humans, souls, beings, and grand spirits stormed into my life without any advance notice. They became the guides of my path in the beginning of my spiritual journey. I did not understand what was happening at the time. I was lured into a whole different world, and due to my curiosity, my whole life turned upside down. I was clueless as to the process they were putting me through, and eventually I became part of an incredible, secretive, worldwide spiritual organization. I was trained and accepted into the organization relatively quick, although I never became an official member. The most notable person at the time was Rabbi A.A., who was actually the chief spiritual leader. There were hundreds, if not thousands of people who worked under his supervision. Above him, according to my limited understanding, was a being that I know from my current reincarnation as Adam. I first met him when I was 28 years old in New York. Despite his old age and the fact that he could actually be my grandfather, our connection was undeniable. We became great friends relatively quickly, and through our relationship my life was transformed. Although he lived in Israel, we kept in close contact until his death in 2002. Adam reappeared into my life in 2010 through a dream which changed my life forever. he is actually the one who introduced me to Rabbi AA and eventually to the TLS organization. The Light System, TLS. TLS, the Light System, is an undercover organization with branches in every major city around the world, which has been in existence for thousands of years. This is the first time in history that information about TLS is being published. Permission from TLS has been granted in advance. The organization is made up of roughly 7,000 initiated agents, some of which are very well-known people in the world today, and not all initiated agents are human. The organization is comprised of all races, religions, genders, and ages. TLS performs both physical and energetic or spiritual tasks in every subject, plane, dimension, and geographical location in the universe, not just Earth. The tasks in most cases are complex group operations. However, there were instances when I was sent on a mission without any backup or support. TLS has possession of extremely high and powerful technology that defies all the laws of physics that is publicly known to modern science. The ultimate goal of the organization is to bring humanity as a whole to a new level of awareness and consciousness. TLS became my family and my home. I began to live a double life, and most of my missions and activities have been done in secret. Everything I learned and all that I was doing was kept a secret from everyone, including my closest friends, my wife, and my children. As time went by, I received more knowledge, learned more, and understood more as I performed strange and, at times, dangerous roles and missions till this very day. The organization is comprised of people who work in the physical realm and people such as myself who have been recruited to missions of spiritual nature. Rays of Light. I have documented countless meetings with Rabbi AA and the people of TLS, and over time these documents have been compiled into a printed book known as Rays of Light. The book contains a wide range of information and wisdom covering many topics. It also contains a considerable amount of personal information about myself as well as a number of other people very close to me, including my wife and my family. Due to the sensitive and personal information that exists within Rays of Light, I am hesitant to publish the book, although all the members of TLS, including Rabbi AA, have pushed me to do so countless times. Despite my hesitation and objection to publish this book, it was made clear to me that the book will eventually be published for the masses. At this point, I just prefer that it is published after my death. Honestly, I do not want to deal with all the questions as well as the great pressure that will come my way after the book is published. The book, too, is encrypted with a code that is known to very few. The code of Rays of Light is much less complicated and easier to understand than the pyramid code. Without the code, a normal person will not be able to derive all the insights and conclusions contained within the book. Therefore, I don't see a purpose to publish the book without its encrypted code. Although I am sure that the book without the code may help a lot of people, I am obligated to protect myself, those close to me, and my loved ones. I am afraid that the information in the book may harm myself along with those close to me. I am confident that in the not-so-distant future, the universe and the earth in particular will gain new insights and a new level of awareness. This new level of awareness will pertain to the nature and the universe in general. Once this new level of awareness is reached, it will allow everyone to discover the code of this book along with many other books that are based on codes such as the Torah and the Zohar. In the meantime, I do not see reason to release information that, in my eyes, is incomplete. Therefore, I will hold off on releasing Rays of Light until I have permission to publish it with the codes. My orders. On February 6th, 2020, I received clear instructions as part of my assignment to document what is currently ahead of you. I write with an excited yet heavy heart. I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I am very happy and grateful for the opportunity to document my first incarnation. But on the other hand, I don't understand why I must write the essence of the Pyramid Code along with it. As I said earlier, I feel that it is meaningless without the code and may be very difficult to understand. I know that one day the code will be revealed and it will be part of the collective consciousness and awareness of the entire universe. So, why not record and write it then? Why today? I don't understand. This is going to be very difficult and will require a great deal of concentration. But of course, as part of the system, I will comply since I have been ordered to do so by Rabbi A.A. I am not sure if at the end of writing this, I will be willing to share what is written with anybody, even with those who are close to me. I will make the decision when this is finished. As always, TLS gave me the right to choose whether or not I would like to publish it. Personally, I prefer for it to be published after my death, and I have a feeling that this mission will someday fall on my dear friend, Jason. Over the years, I have learned that life is an enduring adventure that is infinite, with no beginning or end. I have learned that life is actually an eternal beingness, a wonderful beingness, one that occurs through different consciousness and different souls, while remaining one eternal soul. I have even learned and experienced the language of the spirit world. I learned what spirit and energy truly are. I was privileged to experience true and unconditional love. I am waiting for the end of the Age of Light, the era that we are currently in today, and for the beginning of the Age of Love, which is our collective destiny. This may even occur in our current reincarnation. Throughout the rest of this document, I will do my best to preserve Rabbi A.A.'s authentic style of language as it is documented in Rays of Light. My first incarnation. In my current reincarnation, I am Moshe, the son of Rivka. This is my 69th reincarnation since I have come to this earth. I was and still am on my journey towards my endless destiny. In my first incarnation, and my longest one, I was born on the 1st of Tishrei in the year 2400 according to the Hebrew calendar, 1360 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. And I left this world at the age of 939 years old on the 9th of Av in the year 3339, 421 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, during the destruction of the first holy temple. I was the son of two Hebrew slaves, Rina and Amram. We were all part of the Hebrew slaves who were meant to serve the pharaohs at the time. I was born during the ruling of the last pharaoh in a dynasty that lasted over 1,000 years in Egypt. The pharaohs ruled all of Africa and a few other parts of the world for a very long time. I spent most of my life in the Holy Land, Israel, after leaving with all the Hebrews during the Exodus, also known as the period of the Grand Confusion. I am using the word Hebrews because we were not yet known as Jews. We only became Jews when we were given the Torah, immediately following the event on Mount Sinai when the Hebrews received the Torah. The term Yehudi, which means Jewish in Hebrew, came into being for the first time in the era of the kingdom of Yehuda in the year 3174 according to the Hebrew calendar, which is 586 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. I will elaborate further on this later on. It is important to note that we were all circumcised after birth. The pharaohs, who were also known as the sons of God, or Fatasol in the language of pharaohs, were born circumcised. They symbolized perfection in our eyes, and the pharaoh was a god in the eyes of the nation. The word pharaoh in the pharaonic language actually means the house of the divine. They came from the heavens. The pharaohs came to our world from another star or planet. They were sent here to control and change the earth and its inhabitants. The nation looked at them as the sons of God, also known as Fatasol. Over time, the males of the pharaonic race started having children with the human females of Earth, which is what caused the pharaonic race to lose their spiritual power and pure essence. Their offspring was weakened, and they lost their initial powers, their destiny, and their purpose. Due to the physically rooted and primal influences of the humans on Earth, the pharaohs, also known as the sons of God or Fatasol, lost the intimate connection with their inner soul, which resulted in the demise of their rule over Earth. Due to these inter-race interactions, shortly after the Exodus, or the Great Confusion, the ruling of the Fatasol was no more. They came here with incredible technological knowledge and information that gave them the power to rule and build all over the world. For example, the pyramids. The original Fatasol were aliens who had high energetic powers, physical, spiritual, and healing energies. They were also able to call upon and physically speak with animals and higher powers. Rulers such as the pharaoh and the high priest had the power and knowledge to move between different galaxies with either spaceships or through meditation and power of thought. This knowledge and power became diluted over time and was, for the most part, eventually lost. They operated their spaceships through the use of the energy from the sun, magnets, lasers, and the power of thought. Growing up. As I said earlier, I was the child of a Hebrew slave. At the age of 8 years old, the high priest, Jason in my current reincarnation, took me to the Pharaoh's palace against my will to work under him in the holy temple of the palace, the house of the divine of the Pharaohs. I grew up there and was trained to be the minor priest. Later in my life, after my marriage, I transitioned into the role of high priest in Israel. I will elaborate on this role later. The name of the high priest was Fatahotap. Fatah is God and Hotap is priest. Fatahotep was the younger brother of the pharaoh, Vicky, in my current reincarnation. It truly amazes me that I remember a few words from that time, but I don't remember the language itself. I wonder what the reason for that is and who is responsible for that. My name changed from Menachem, my Hebrew name at the time, to Mano, or more accurately, Manohotep, the minor priest. Manohotep was raised in the royal palace under the high priest in the holy temple of the pharaohs. Manohotep lived in the holy temple from the age of 8 years old to the age of 49 years old. During the time period of the Great Confusion, or the Exodus, in the year 2448, Manohotep took advantage of the opportunity and united with his father, his wife Gama, Mina in my current reincarnation, and the Hebrews, and they fled to the Holy Land, Israel. My life as Manohotep was good, interesting, and full, but I was lonely and sad at the time. I turned from being a Hebrew slave to a minor priest. Later on, my name changed in the Holy Land to Saria, the high priest. I became the high priest in the Holy Temple of Israel with a wide knowledge of the pharaonic era and the secrets and mysticism of the Fatah soul. The high priest, Fatahotep, or Jason, was very fond of me, and contrary to customary tradition at the time, he turned me from a Hebrew slave to a student of his. Even more inconsistent with the customs, Fatahotep trained me to become a priest. The priesthood provided me with an abundance of information and the supernatural powers that I acquired from the high priest, which helped me in my line of work till the day I died in the holy temple. The consecration process, or purification, to become a priest was called baraka in ancient Egypt. The high priest, Fatahotep, or Jason, was a special man with knowledge and power that was supernatural. He was an expert and very knowledgeable about the secrets and mysticism of the pyramids, which was knowledge that could only come from very high places. He possessed this knowledge because he was a pure Fatah soul. He knew the secrets of creation and the secrets of the divine self of each individual. He was very proficient and had a very wide knowledge in technology. He was able to see right through people, X-ray vision, energetically and physically. He liked young children for amusement, and especially little boys, something that was accepted at that time. He used me for his sexual needs, which damaged me internally and emotionally until the day I died. However, I still felt admiration, love, and closeness to him. He did not have children of his own. I, too, chose not to have children. Instead, through my spiritual work, I chose to serve myself and the general public by connecting to the Creator in any way that I could. I was busy doing spiritual work as a spiritual leader for my entire life. I am disappointed that the work I performed was related to religion as well. This was because the work I performed later on in my life was under the control of the new Jewish Hebrew leaders in the land of Israel. Getting back to my childhood, in my first incarnation, I was taken from my parents' home at the age of 8 years old. This caused me a lot of sadness and fears that I had to deal with for a very long time. I succeeded in overcoming them only after I reached the phase of consecration, or baraka. My father, Amram, Rabbi A.A. in my current reincarnation, who is the holy Rabbi Eliezer Alfrandi, did everything that he could to be near me. It amazes me that I finally have permission to write his name in full. I was his only son. He hid his identity as a Hebrew slave and advanced into the Pharaoh's palace in a very short period of time. He became very close to the Pharaoh. He gained his trust and became his chief assistant. This provided him and my mother with the ability to be closer to me. My father changed his name from Amram to Amma, and my mother changed her name from Rena to Rona, Rachel, in my current reincarnation. They changed their names in order to hide their true identities as Hebrews. My connection with my mother was never very special nor strong. She died when she was 40 years old, relatively young for those times. From what I can remember, she died, from what I understood, to be sadness. My father died when he was 180 years old. He was born on the 10th of Tishrei in the year 2375 and died on the 5th of Adar in the year 2555, according to the Hebrew calendar. 1385 BC to 1205 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar. However, being an unusual being or entity with secret supernatural powers, he in fact never died. Amram. My father, my guide, and my rabbi, Rabbi A.A., Eliezer Elfrandi in my current reincarnation, came to this world in his first incarnation as the third son of Adam and Eve. His name was Shet. He was born on the 10th of Tishrei in the year 130, 3630 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, and lived 912 years. He lived several parallel lives as well. Overall, he lived 1,010 reincarnations until January 28th, 2014, the 27th of Shvat, in the year 5774, according to the Hebrew calendar. On that day, he did not reincarnate. Instead, he moved towards his final destiny, and he is currently in the pyramid star. My father, my teacher, and my rabbi was born and reborn, but never died. He simply lived parallel lives and moved between different reincarnations. For example, the reincarnation of Shet of 912 years, the reincarnation of Amram of 180 years, the reincarnation as Rabbi A.A. of 424 years. Some of his reincarnations are somewhat documented in the stories of the Old Testament. He experienced 1,010 reincarnations in 5,644 years, with parallel lives, sometimes experiencing 10 different reincarnations simultaneously. Rabbi A.A.'s last reincarnation was here on earth, which started on the 18th of Tammuz in the year 5350, according to the Hebrew calendar, 1590, according to the Gregorian calendar. He was born in a little village in Iraq, not far from Baghdad, which was called Canif at the time. The holy rabbi left to the pyramid star at the age of 424 years old on January 28th, 2014, according to the Gregorian calendar. He left from the same field in New Jersey that he and I used to fly in and out using different UFOs and their occupants during our work together. He spoke 8 languages fluently. He could also speak with animals and aliens. He knew Sfat Haruach, which is translated from Hebrew as the language of the spirit world. He also knew Aramaic, The fact that Rabbi A.A. had the knowledge of these languages only offers a mere glimpse at the true power and consciousness that Rabbi A.A. possessed. Looking back at it, I realized that he was the architect of my life story, and he was also the architect of the history of the Jewish people and probably other nations as well. He is a special soul who was chosen carefully for divine work. He was present in all 69 of my reincarnations, even when I reincarnated as an animal, an alligator, and not a human being. For those who are wondering, yes, I have been part of the reptilian family before. No, I am not part of the reptilian family now. No, I do not have the ability to shapeshift. And yes, I have seen, experienced, and worked with people who have the ability to shapeshift. Ever since my last meeting with Rabbi A.A., something happened that brought me to a new level of consciousness. This new level of consciousness and awareness has given me different understandings and insights that help me reflect on my past, including reincarnations that sharpen my memory and cause me to remember different reincarnations in more detail. For example, in one of my reincarnations, I was an eagle ruled by a shamanic Indian in North America. The shamanic Indian is present-day Orly in my current reincarnation. All my other friends, acquaintances, and loved ones from the year 2448, according to the Hebrew calendar, and 1312 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, were also part of that reincarnation in the form of different animals, such as a snake, Tina, bear, Vicky, hawk, Miriam, black and white wildcat, Tova, horse, Jason, wolf, Rami, female wolf, Shula, buffalo, Rachel, black and white dog, Abraham, and more. All the animals were controlled by the Indian shaman who used animals and plants for treatments and healing. A significant part of the treatment was performed with the use of psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin, for different healing purposes. The shaman's use of psilocybin on humans and animals gave him the spiritual power to control both humans and animals. In order to strengthen himself and his power over man, animal, and beast, he made sure that the psilocybin would be part of their daily diet in very small quantities. He would administer higher quantities of psilocybin when they were sick in order to heal them and even save their lives. The Indian shaman was known as Ram from Métis tribe, who had been wandering around the Canadian and US border for centuries. Ram was a strong, tough, high-blooded, bloodthirsty man with no compassion for those around him. He was also the chief shaman of his tribe and the ruler of the tribe. He ruled his tribe and animals with a strong and powerful hand. It would be interesting to understand why this reincarnation comes back to me again and again. The Fatisal dynasty. Contrary to common knowledge and belief, the Hebrews of ancient Egypt did not live a life of suffering and did not perform forced labor the way it is described. They were more like servants than slaves, and they lived their lives as second-class or even third-class citizens. They did not have rights like the Egyptians, and they did not get paid for their work. They only received food, clothing, and shelter. They did not own any assets. Everything was given to them by the Egyptians, more accurately, the pharaoh. The last pharaoh, The one who ruled during my first incarnation, or Vicky in my current reincarnation, was relatively cruel and harder on the people than the ones before him, despite being an entity with higher powers, just like all of the other pharaohs before him. Although he was not a pure Fatasol, he was still considered a god to the nation. His wife was Farah, or Tova, in my current reincarnation. Farah died at a relatively young age. She was a pure Fatasol who went through the Baraka process at a young age and became a high priestess before she married the pharaoh, Vicky, in my current reincarnation. It is not clear to me why she died at such a young age. It was most definitely not typical for an offspring of Fatasol to die at such a young age. Even more interestingly is how the pharaoh or Fatahotep didn't succeed in healing her, if indeed she was sick, with the magical staff that they had in their possession. I know many souls were helped and saved from death with the magical staff. I suppose she reached her destiny in this reincarnation. Roka, Tina in my current reincarnation, who was Farah's daughter, went through the Baraka process in the holy temple in the pharaoh's palace under the supervision of Fatahotep, who was the high priest, which is customary of every pharaoh child from the offspring of Fatasol. Mano and Roka built a very close relationship as young children, as they were both students of the priesthood. They spent a lot of time together, worked together, and learned together. Roka loved and was loved by Mano since she was a child. Their love was destroyed because she chose to marry her father, which was very accepted at the time, due to her mother's death, because she, like the pharaoh, was from the offspring of Fatasol. From the start, the love between Mano and Roka never stood a chance to come to fruition, since Mano was originally a Hebrew servant, whereas Roka was from the Fatasol dynasty. Roka had to pass the Baraka process in order to be worthy to marry her father, Pharaoh, Vicky in my current reincarnation, which is a process that took many years. At the age of 18 years old, Roka married her father, Pharaoh. In the wedding ceremony, in which Mano was present along with the rest of the priests, Roka received the title of the Queen of the Pharaohs, as well as the title of the High Priestess, who possessed immense power and knowledge. Roka had a personal assistant since she was born, who was named Mer, or Miriam, my wife in my current reincarnation. Mer was a short, old, fat and mentally limited woman. Mer was very obsessive over Roka. Mer felt as though she was more than just a servant or a mother to Roka. According to my memory, Mer was a simple Egyptian woman who never married nor brought children to the world. Roka had a daughter named Gama, or Mina in my current reincarnation, who was also sent to go through the Baraka process since she was a daughter of the pharaoh. She went through the Baraka process in the holy temple of the pharaoh's palace under the supervision of Fatahotep. Manohotep was a teacher to Gama as well. Mano and Gama fell in love. In the year 2448, they took advantage of the period of the Great Confusion, or Exodus, and fled with the Hebrews to the land of Israel. In the year 2449, according to the Hebrew calendar, Mano and Gama got married in the desert on the way to the Holy Land when Mano was 50 and Gama was 17. Their wedding was on the 1st of Tishrei, which was also Mano's birthday. They chose not to have children and instead dedicated their lives to their spiritual work. They both lived very long and full lives and died together in the evil fires of the destruction of the first holy temple, their home, in Jerusalem before the Babylonian exile on the 9th of Av in the year 3339 according to the Hebrew calendar and 421 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. Mano was 939 years old and Gama was 906 years old. Their bodies were never buried. They both served as high priests until the day they died. Gama was the head priestess, deputy of the high priest Saria, which was Mano's new name or title in Israel, in secrecy, because it was not accepted at the time for a woman, especially a gentile, to hold such a position of power. Gama was an Egyptian woman of the pharaohs from the offspring of Pharaoh. She never converted her destiny or her essence into Judaism, but she was part of the new Jewish nation and highly respected by all. It is important to note that although Mano and Gama loved and married each other, their connection and relationship would have never been accepted by the pharaoh if they would have stayed in Egypt because of Mano's past of being a Hebrew slave and Gama being the granddaughter of the pharaoh. As priests, Mano and Gama attained the ability to experience and see unlimited strength of high powers, downfalls, wars and plagues. They earned the ability to see, work with, and accompany the most powerful people of the Jewish nation. They were also part of the Jewish nation's journey in fulfilling its destiny all the way to its downfall on the 9th of Av in the year 3339 or 421 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. They hid religious objects and mystical or magical tools of different kinds under the dome of the rock in Jerusalem, and that technology is still there today, waiting to be found and brought to the world's awareness. Among the different objects buried under the Holy Temple exists 3 original Torahs that were written by Moses and his assistants. I emphasize his assistants. When Mano and Gama fled from Egypt during the Exodus, they were able to take the magical staffs and bury them under the Holy Temple. The Torah on those days was learned as oral Torah and not the Torah that we know today. Mano and Gama served the nation for many years with the knowledge they acquired in Egypt as priests. They did so according to the laws of the Jewish religion. As high priests, Mano and Gama knew how to communicate with animals through speech and telepathy. Others from the royal palace, such as Pharaoh, Shurka, and Ptahhotep, knew how to do this as well. The last pharaoh's favorite animal was a lion named Chisholm, my dog in my current reincarnation. Chisholm was very close to Shurka, Gama, and Mano when they were kids in the pharaoh's palace. They went their separate ways when they left Egypt during the period of the Great Confusion, or Exodus. Chisholm was born in the year 2415 and died in the year 2450, according to the Hebrew calendar, 1345 BC to 1310 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar. After the Exodus. On the 15th of Nisan, in the year 2448, according to the Hebrew calendar, or 1312 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, Mano and Gama, along with the Hebrews, left Egypt and arrived to Mount Sinai, which is actually Mount Kharkoum in present day, on the 1st of Sivan. On the 6th of Sivan in the year 2448, the holiday of Shavuot, God came down to Mount Sinai and spoke the 10 Commandments. The following day, on the 7th of Sivan, Moses went up to the mountain for 40 days to get the 10 Commandments. Moses came down with the 10 Commandments, the tablets, on the 17th of Tammuz, 2448, and broke them out of anger due to the infamous golden calf story, the nation's sin. Moses went up to the mountain once again on the 18th of Tammuz for 40 days to ask forgiveness and atonement for the sins of the Hebrews. He came down on the 28th of Av. Moses went up onto the mountain for the 3rd time for another 40 days on the 29th of Av, after sunset, to get the 2nd set of the tablets, which is still preserved under the Dome of the Rock, or the Muslim mosque in Jerusalem. Moses came down from the mountain on the Day of Atonement, or Yom HaKippurim in Hebrew, according to the Hebrew calendar, on the 10th of Tishrei in the year 2449 at sunrise, according to the Hebrew calendar, 1311 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, for the last time. Although there are no codes in these writings, I am purposefully giving you the details of the dates since they will be important one of these days. Whoever knows the code for the book Rays of Light, as well as the Pyramid Code, will find these dates and details used quite often to continue their work and understanding. The end of the Pharaonic era came with the Exodus. As this era came to an end, the secrets of the universe, along with the different technologies, were lost. Among the sacred technologies that perished were magnets, lasers, and light energy, which were used to build the pyramids. From this point forward, Egypt declined and eventually became what it is today, a poor and primitive nation. My father, my guide, and my rabbi, Rabbi A.A., was the man who planned the Exodus. He was also the secret helper to Moses throughout the negotiations to release the Hebrews from slavery and into freedom. My father, until the day he died, was the right-hand man to Moses, along with the rest of the rulers of the military and the leaders who came after him. For me, he was a teacher, and with his help I became the high priest in Jerusalem, with neither myself nor my wife, who was not even a Hebrew, being part of the family of Aaron, the first high priest in Israel, or the Levi tribe. The priesthood. Aaron, the first high priest in Israel, was a half-brother to Moses. His mother became pregnant from an ancient pharaoh. Aaron was the offspring of Pharaoh, who were aliens. Aaron's family were the original priests, but due to inbreeding over the years, we cannot be sure that a high priest is really from the Aaron family or the Levi tribe. Over the past years, I have met and recognized people from my first incarnation. I don't always remember everyone all the time. For reasons unknown to me, the memory comes and goes. Eliezer and the high priest, Yoni Cohen, in my current reincarnation, replaced his father Aaron after his death. I, Saria, the son of Amram from the Manasseh tribe, replaced him as the high priest upon his death. There were head priests who worked under me as my deputies. Eliezer's younger brother, Nadav, or Rami Levi, in my current reincarnation, did not take his natural place as the next high priest after the death of his brother, Eliezer. This was even more odd, since Eliezer, Yoni Cohen, in my current reincarnation, did not have biological children of his own. Rather, he had adopted children that were never going to be next in line for the high priest position. Nadav became the high priest under my command, and he was responsible for looking after the holy temple. He didn't get the role as the high priest because my father at the time, Rabbi A.A., made sure that I acquired the role as the high priest. Today, some people may call this an act of deception and a political crime, but that is how things worked at the time. Amram felt that his son was more suited to be the high priest, especially since he had undergone the Baraka process and possessed supernatural powers along with the knowledge of the secrets of the universe that very few were lucky enough to receive. Nadav died a short time after, about 10 years, and was then replaced by Aaron's grandson, Pinchas. This goes to show that for hundreds of years the high priest was not from the Cohen family or from the Levi tribe as the rest of the high priests and Moses were. To top it off, Sariah's wife, Gama, who was not only a gentile but a pharaonic alien from the Fatazul dynasty, served as a head priestess in secrecy. Long story short, the whole priesthood was a farce. This information will revolutionize many basic Jewish traditions as well as its belief system. There is nothing new under the sun. What was, will be, and what will be already was. Military men. The Secretary of Defense of the Pharaoh was a man who was very close and loyal to the Pharaoh. His name was Satis, Orly in my current reincarnation. He was a great warrior. Of note, the army symbol and the symbol of the pharaohs was the eagle. The eagle was ruled by the pharaohs like many other animals in the palace. The eagle symbol appeared on buildings, weapons, and also on combat helmets. In modern day, the eagle is the symbol of countries like the United States and Germany, and even Nazi Germany during the reign of Hitler. The eagle is found on many government buildings and various monuments in the world today. Satis was tall, noble, and handsome. He had several wives and a lot of children. One of his children was Maharaba, or Abraham in my current reincarnation. He was also a part of the high priests since childhood. Although he was from the Fatazul dynasty and I was a Hebrew slave, we became great friends. His father was also very fond of me, and we always found ourselves studying or working together. Eventually, we both completed the Baraka process and became minor priests under Fatahotap's supervision. We parted ways when I fled from Egypt with my wife, my father, and the rest of the Hebrews during the Exodus. Another person who I've known for many years in my current reincarnation is Shula, the daughter of Adam. Shula was Yehoshua, the son of Nun, in her first incarnation. Yehoshua's father was Nun, who's actually Adam, in my current reincarnation. Yehoshua was the son of my aunt, making him my first cousin. He was my age, and we grew up together as the children of Hebrew slaves until I was taken from my parents' home. Yehoshua reached very high places in the Hebrew Jewish ruling class as a Jewish military man and was very close to Moses, Aaron the high priest, and also my father, Amram, Rabbi A.A. Amram at the time controlled everything and everyone behind the scenes without anyone's knowledge or understanding. Today it is very amusing to think about it. I'm trying to figure out where Amram acquired his many talents and power back then. A question arises in my mind. Is it possible that Rabbi A.A., with all of his reincarnations and talents, was in fact an alien, fatter soul, who lived among us for thousands of years in varying degrees? Moses. Potiphar, Pharaoh's eldest daughter, raised Moses, who also underwent the Baraka process under the supervision of Fatah-Hotep. This is how Moses acquired his supernatural powers and spiritual talents to communicate with higher and supreme powers. Like the pharaohs of the royal palace, Moses had magical powers. I found Moses to be very tough and cruel, but a brilliant man with special leadership talent. Everyone was afraid of him, yet everyone respected him. He escorted approximately 3 million people out of Egypt to Israel in a journey that took 10 years, as opposed to the 40 years that is written in the Torah. For the record, they could do the same journey in less than half a year. The reason why Moses made the journey to Israel take much longer was to get rid of the old generation and their slave mentality, while simultaneously preparing the new generation for a new and powerful life with a different set of values as a free nation. In the first 49 days until they reached Mount Sinai, 1/3 of the people died, mainly due to the intense heat of the Sinai desert. The deceased consisted of primarily elderly people. Another significant number of people died during the following years due to an incomprehensible disease, and another 250,000 were ordered to be exterminated by Moses due to their betrayal in the supreme power. This extermination was due to the famous story known as the Golden Calf. The difference is that instead of the 24,000 people butchered, as is written in the Torah, Moses ordered the extermination of 250,000. Many more people were killed along the way. Many were also killed by various tribes that attacked them on the way to Israel. No one was buried on the way to the Holy Land other than Moses and Aaron, the high priest. Bodies were either left behind or, at most, they were burned. True Jewish burial began only after the Jews entered Israel. The Jews arrived in Israel without Moses. They were about 1.5 million people, including the calculation of the increase in population due to the reproduction within the 10-year period. Most of the people were young, as planned. Reflecting on my past. As I write my memories of my first reincarnation, I delve deeper into my soul, and many memories come to me from the past. Nevertheless, living over 900 years, there are many stories and memories. I don't remember a large portion of it, but what I do remember, for the most part, is unimportant to me. It does not feel like an issue that has any impact on my current path in life. I choose not to document countless stories which only interest me and are not significant at the moment. Getting into the small details takes me into deep places within myself that make it unnecessarily difficult for me. It also causes me to disconnect from my current self and my current environment. I also feel that it affects my current work and missions within TLS. I recently took a new mission upon myself that is vital to improving our current global situation. I cannot discuss this mission as it is currently active, very dangerous, and is a result of the malevolent forces that are operating our world. I try not to let my memories of the past interfere with my work, but they intrude daily. I do not and will not fail. Certainly not now, and not in the situations we are currently in today. In my opinion, extraordinary and significant events are about to happen that will affect the future for us all, and I would like to be on the positive side of the equation. Failure is not an option right now. Neither I nor my family can afford failure at the moment. I also feel that I became carried away and I may be revealing too much information, which is not what my superior, Rabbi A.A., intended when he gave me the permission and great privilege to document these past 10 years. It is difficult for me to admit, but I regret that I did not listen to Rabbi A.A. at the time when he asked and insisted that I document and write everything. If I would have listened to his advice, today there would be at least 10, if not more, volumes of Rays of Light with an abundance of mysticism and insights that would one day serve the entire world. The Holy Temple. The first Holy Temple was built by King Solomon in the year 2929 according to the Hebrew calendar, or 831 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. The first Holy Temple was built in roughly 7 years and lasted for 410 years before it was robbed, burned, and destroyed by the Babylonians in the year 3339 according to the Hebrew calendar, or 421 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. Being that the construction of the temple was very costly, King Solomon financed its construction by imposing heavy taxes on the people. The temple was constructed from various materials such as local rocks and stones, trees such as cedar and cypress trees, and metals such as copper and primarily gold, which covered most of the internal structure. The inception of the idea to construct the Holy Temple came from King David. His initial intention was to create a house to serve God, but it turned to an ego-driven process that was also used to collect more taxes. Corruption, like today, was almost everywhere. King David was preoccupied with wars, political issues, economic issues, and personal problems, which prevented him from realizing his dream in building the first Holy Temple. King Solomon, King David's son, manifested the idea of the first Holy Temple, but it came at a heavy price to the people of the nation. The first Holy Temple was composed of 3 main parts. The main hall, or the welcoming hall, was the first part of the Holy Temple. The second part of the temple was the main temple, which contained the menorah and the main altar on which incense was burned and animals were sacrificed. There were various altars placed in different areas within the temple complex. The third part of the temple was known as the Holy of Holies, in which the Ark of the Covenant, along with the Kruvim, were both located. The Kruvim were made out of gold. I don't know why they are referred to as the Kruvim to this day. They were relatively small statues compared to the size of the Holy of Holies and the temple itself. The statues were half eagle and half human. One of the Kruvim was masculine, with a male human body, and the other was feminine, with a female human body. This attests to a kind of foreign work, or even a kind of idolatry within the temple itself, which is a complete contradiction to the basic beliefs of the Jewish people. The Holy of Holies, also known as Dvir or the Dvir, sat on what we know today as the foundation stone, or Even HaShetia, within the dome of the rock as we know it today. The foundation stone was used as a stand for the Dvir. Sacrifices were made and the incense was burned on the foundation stone, Even HaShetia. The foundation stone had, and still has, very strong energy and powers, and its geographical location is the energy center of our planet, as well as the energy center of the universe as a whole. The origin of the name Even HaShetia, the foundation stone, is based on the essence of the term, quote-unquote, founded, translated from Hebrew, which means that the origin of the creation of energy and creation itself was founded in this geographical location. The place itself is extremely energetically rich. In a straight line, deep underground, are the contents of the Holy of Holies, which are concealed there until this very day. The room in which these items are hidden, like the rest of the temple, was designed and built by King Solomon. A short time before the destruction of the first holy temple, King Hosea ordered to move, store, or hide all the holy content of the Holy of Holies in the hidden room. This was carried out by Mano and Gama with the intention that none of these holy items would fall into the hands of any gentil that would want to destroy the temple. Only the high priest was allowed to go inside the Holy of Holies once a year during the atonement, also known as Yom Kippur. However, the high priest and his assistants would go there every so often, not just on the Day of Atonement. King Solomon would spend time there in isolation for the purpose of spiritual elevation. He would use the Holy of Holies as a space to read and write. My knowledge and my memories regarding King Solomon and his father take me back to the past. It's a very strange feeling. I knew them and their heirs very well. As a high priest, I was their counselor, their doctor, and I dare to say, even their psychologist. David and Solomon, who were the founders of the first holy temple, were very strong and very smart, but very corrupt in their nature. They were greedy, powerful, and respected. Their personal lives were in utter chaos, and as a family of nobility, I would define them as a dysfunctional one. Within the family itself, there was incest, rape, and various murders. There were also wars over power and inheritance. There was betrayal between all family members of the family, from the grandparents to the grandchildren, along with all of their descendants. David and Solomon preserved their kingdoms by killing every possible regime. During most of his reign, David was preoccupied with different wars. In his honor, Solomon, his son, practiced peace and quiet and almost no war or resistance except for his first 5 years. King David lived about 70 years. He ruled the people with a strong hand. He conquered a lot of land and expanded his kingdom. David was very handsome. However, he was short and had red hair. He was known to be an impulsive, pleasant, smart, but very cruel and corrupt person. He had many women and mistresses and a large number of children and descendants. On the other hand, his youngest son, King Solomon, was crowned king at the age of 12 until his death at the age of 52. He was tall and handsome. He was a king who knew less wars, but also lived his life with absolute chaos. He was known as a wise man. He also had countless women and mistresses, and of course, countless children and descendants. In order to ensure his reign and dominance in the kingdom, even though he was the youngest child of King David, he was forced to murder his brother and some of his advisors and friends who supported the older children of King David. It is funny to me that the Jewish and Christian traditions are waiting for the Messiah to come from the family of King David. Jesus was already considered part of the King David family and was already a Messiah to the Christians. The Jews are still waiting for the same Messiah from the family of King David. It's all nonsense and fairy tales. May God help us if the Messiah indeed shall come from such a dysfunctional family. I hope that the days of the Messiah are near, and when he arrives, I pray and hope that he is purer, more whole, more loving, and more enlightened. It is important to me to inform the reader that King Solomon is Adam in my current reincarnation, and King David is Tova in my current reincarnation, who is the niece of Adam. Of course, some of their wives, mistresses, children, and grandchildren were souls that I know today as part of my soul family and a few close friends, but there is no need to go into detail at this time. Abraham and Sarah. Before proceeding to the insights of the Pyramid Code, I would like to share one story that is very close to my heart from my first incarnation. In the year 3000, according to the Hebrew calendar, or 760 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, Saria the high priest, from my first incarnation, was 600 years old. It was not common to celebrate a birthday in those times. Most people did not even know when they were born, and if they did, they would hardly receive any acknowledgement regarding it. There were not too many people who reached such an old age. In my opinion, Saria and Gama reached this age due to the Baraka process that they went through, along with their proficient knowledge of the secrets of creation. They used this knowledge in their personal lives and in their work as priests. They also lived a very clean vegan lifestyle, as did the rest of the pharaohs. If they would not have perished on the 9th of Av in the year 3339 according to the Hebrew calendar, or 421 BC according to the Gregorian calendar, in the destruction of the first holy temple, they would have most probably lived past 1,000 years old. The pharaohs and the high priests generally avoided sexual intercourse unless their intention was to reproduce. Physical love and mating occasionally occurred through normal intercourse as we know it today, but they mostly committed the act through meditation and telepathy with almost no physical contact except for holding hands and, in some cases, by touching legs. High priests would also mate by touching foreheads. Mating in this way preserved the essence of their bodies in a physical sense. It also preserved their internal energy, which was the secret of their vitality for their spiritual work. This is the reason why most of them would live such long lives compared to us today. Very few people truly knew how old Manu and Gama were, as they kept their age a secret. The people of the Jewish nation revered Gama and Saria, as they were elders and priests. The people of the nation loved them, and vice versa. One day in Jerusalem, on the holiday of Shavuot, a young couple approached Sarah. Their names were Abraham and Sarah. This is not connected to Abraham and Sarah from the Bible. Abraham was roughly 30 years old and Sarah was just under 25. They were privileged to meet with the high priest in private, which is not customary, because of the high priest's relationship with Sarah's father, who was a highly respected and well-connected man. The father requested help for his daughter. They came with the hope of receiving a blessing and help, since they have been married for 10 years and could not have children. Abraham asked for permission to marry a second wife, and together they requested help to get pregnant. Additional marriages for a man was something that was permitted in those days, so long as the wife does not show any resistance and that the rabbi of the community approves. Sarah was very much resistant. She had power and influence because of her father's status in the community. Her husband, Abraham, insisted on a second wife, but did not oppose the blessing. Sarah, the high priest, smiled to himself because he recognized the souls of Abraham and Sarah from their prior reincarnations. However, it was not proper or wise to mention that at the time. Abraham was my wife, in my current reincarnation, and Sarah was Roka, Tina, in my current reincarnation. The blessing that the couple received from the high priest helped tremendously, and in a short period of time, Sarah gave birth to twins, 2 daughters. One was named Verchia, or Farah from the previous reincarnation, and Tova in my current reincarnation, and the second daughter was named Shir, Yehoshua, the son of Nun, from the previous reincarnation, Shula in my current reincarnation. Besides the blessing that they received from the high priest, they also had to go through a general, physical and mental, cleanse which includes living a clean vegan lifestyle. By the age of approximately 35, Sarah was already a mother of 8. Ezekiel, Maharba from my previous reincarnation, and Abraham in my current reincarnation. Moses, Pharaoh from my previous reincarnation. Vicky in my current reincarnation. Hezekiah, Satis from my previous reincarnation. Orly in my current reincarnation. Chaya, Aaron, the high priest from the Fatasol dynasty in my previous reincarnation. Nadav, the head priest in my previous reincarnation. Rami Levi in my current reincarnation. Eliezer, the high priest from my previous reincarnation. Yoni Cohen in my current reincarnation. Sarah and Abraham lived a good life. If I am not mistaken, they lived until roughly the age of 38 years old. They have always been and still are a part of my soul family. The family friendship between Sarah, Gama, and the young couple became even stronger over the years. This caused a little discomfort to Sarah and Gama because of the fact that they knew the truth behind the priesthood, the fact that they took the place of the high priests and that they are not from the Levi tribe or part of the offspring from Aaron, the high priests, and his family. This was a small yet big lie in the eyes of Sarah and Gama at the time. There are many distortions and conflicts between the true story and the official historical story, which is something that personally makes me uncomfortable today. But I will elaborate on this later. I have to emphasize the fact that this incarnation was extremely long, very interesting and full of love, excitement, upheaval, and many bumps along the road. New rectifications, tikkun in Hebrew, that I went through in other reincarnations make no sense compared to this incarnation. However, I suppose that is the way of the world, especially the spirit world. With all the knowledge and experience, I always ask myself at the end of the day, why? How? When? What will happen in the near and distant future? The more I know, see and learn, the more I realize that I do not know or understand anything, and that we are just one drop in the entire ocean. The pyramid. At the request of Rabbi A.A., I will try to explain and write the essence of the pyramid code without revealing the code itself. Everything that I am writing is only from my memory and knowledge that I have acquired in recent years, and some of what I remember from my first incarnation. I am not able to remember everything, and as time goes by, my memory becomes less reliable or fuzzier. My memory betrays me sometimes, and in my current reincarnation, my body does as well, due to my missions. Or maybe it is more accurate to say that I betray my body in spite of my missions and knowledge. I am sure that the knowledge that I possess is not perfect and whole. My memory becomes more sharper and more pronounced as I write. As I went through the Baraka process, which is a long process that takes years, I first learned about current world history. Only after did I begin to learn about the spiritual power as opposed to the physical power, and how the two can be connected. This was a long, tedious, and difficult process to digest. I will begin with a little background on the pharaohs, or Fatasol, who were part of the evolution of the Earth's development in the distant past. Connecting the physical and the spiritual. Earth operates according to natural laws that are set by the Creator. Earth is always moving, evolving, and changing. Change and evolution in the spiritual world is propagated by different waves, frequencies, and vibrations that are consistent to each form in nature. This energy remains in these abstract forms until it permeates matter, which results in the changing of matter or the creation of new matter. This process can be achieved through spiritual words or spiritual powers, via waves, frequencies, and vibrations. In other words, flesh is created differently from an animal to a human being. A brain is created differently than a human heart. Everything has its own frequency, its own physicality, and its own spirit within it that affects its waves and vibrations. As spirit transforms itself into physical matter, the material that culminates, such as the death of a body, reverses its direction and returns back to spirit. It then further transforms to become source, or energy, or power again. This process continues for many years. It is a very slow process that spans millions of years. I am trying to preserve the language and style of Rabbi A.A. in this document, but it is not easy. The original document was written in Hebrew and translated into English. Hebrew is my native language, but my ability to speak and write was always weak. The original divine race. The initial race here on Earth was a very spiritual race. I would say that they were 90% spirit and 10% matter. The spiritual world and its laws ruled the world as opposed to the material world and its laws that we know today. The initial race was a conscious race with appreciation, love, an understanding for the divine plane and the laws of nature. I am talking about a very faraway era, way before Atlantis or Adam and Eve. I am talking about a community that was naturally conscious and enlightened, without desires and impulses as we have in our current days. This was a race that was fully aware. This was a race that knew the secrets of nature and understood the secrets of creation. They had knowledge that had no boundaries, one that was characterized with a direct divine connection to the Creator. This was a race that knew how to control and guide nature. This was a race that did not have to work for their livelihood and did not have pain during childbirth. Nature worked for them, and they preserved nature according to the Creator's will. However, for some reason which I do not understand, there was another race that arrived, or was created, to Earth. They were a very different race. They looked like the original race, but they were spiritually void. They were 90% matter and 10% spirit. I suppose that they are the forefathers of Adam and Eve. This new race did not know peace or quiet. Due to interbreeding, the spiritual race was weakened and became physical matter, a process that took eons. The same divine race mated with the female of the other race, and they gave birth to mixed offspring of different sizes and colors. The new race had a very primitive brain with slow development. They were a race void of divine emotion. Along the way, there were a few who were spiritually grand, but no one reached the spiritual level of the initial divine race. The original divine race, the grand spirits, are trying to rebalance the earth up until the present day. On the 10th of Tishri, in the year 1010, according to the Hebrew calendar, or 2750 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar, aliens, Fatasol, came down to Earth from 4 different stars, or planets, that were destroyed for reasons that are unknown to me. The aliens that remained were sent here to assimilate with the native race and slowly rule the world in a positive way. Each group went to a different part of Earth, north, south, east, and west. The pharaohs reached what we know today as the African and Egyptian regions. They were all part of the original divine race. For the most part, all the aliens looked like ordinary human beings. The pharaohs had a long rectangular skull, unlike human beings of Earth, who had a rounded skull. The bodies of the pharaohs were thin, noble, and tall. They were dark-skinned, and their facial bones were protruding as they were blessed with noble beauty. The group that reached the west was dark, short, and possessed a large round skull with a large progressive brain. Their bones were thick. They seem to be the ancestors of the original divine race that has been diluted over time. These beings are the ancestors of the present-day South American Hispanics that reside in places such as Mexico and Peru. The goal was to try and transform the corrupt and materialistic race on Earth into a spiritual race that would bring peace and quiet without pressure, fights or wars. A race that would be preoccupied with the spiritual and not the physical. The pharaohs began to turn the earth from a materialistic place to a more spiritual place, and the initial success was overwhelming. However, as time went by, fatter soul, and their new generation began to mate with human beings. The superior spiritual race planted itself into the materialistic race, which caused them to lose their spiritual powers and diluted their personal power as well as their future offspring. They tried to elevate the lower vibrational race out of the material and into the spiritual, but over time they failed. Slowly, Vatersoul and their offspring became weak, animalistic beings that were full of lust and excess desire. Instead of being spiritual beings, suddenly they found themselves with tyrannical, cruel, spiritless, and fearless rulers that instilled fear within the entire nation. A very similar reality to what is happening on Earth today. As we understand it today, the mission failed. However, I know for sure that God does not give up and the work will continue to completion. It is an ongoing process, and we are on our way to the eternal light, which is the age of love. Within another 1 or 2 reincarnations at the most, we will reach this place. In fact, this eternal process is the work, destiny, and goal of entities such as Rabbi A.A. and Adam. It is the destiny of souls like the pharaohs who have come here to save themselves and planet Earth from physical and spiritual extinction. I believe that the day will come when the Son of God, Father Soul, will manifest in a human body to show all mankind the way out of darkness and into the light, from stress to consciousness. That entity, in my eyes, will be the Messiah. Technology of the pharaohs. The pharaohs began to take control of everything and slowly began to rule the earth. They tried to create a new spiritual world. They needed to preserve, protect, and develop the tools they used for their work and the vehicles they used for transportation for future generations. The pyramids were part of the structures used for just this purpose, which is why we see pyramids in different parts of the world. The pyramids were not built solely as tombs. They were built to protect and preserve the various tools and spaceships that the pharaohs used. The pyramids were built using physical and spiritual tools that could control and manipulate gravity. Such tools were used to lift megalithic stones and build the pyramids. The stones were carved out of different mountains using laser technology. The pharaohs brought new technology into this world that provided them with the ability and power to control human beings. The term EMF stands for electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic fields are part of the earth as well as our bodies. It was and still is a phenomenon that naturally occurs during creation. However, modern-day humans have changed the various frequencies and waves in the earth by despicable, corrupt, and abhorrent technology, which has caused the largest spiritual void that we have ever experienced. The corrupt manipulation of Earth's electromagnetic field is currently causing mental and spiritual sickness and disease. The pharaohs brought with them a different form of technology called electromagnetic pulsation, or EMP, and electromagnetic laser pulsation, EMLP. In the Fatasol language, EMP was called Magan, and EMLP was called Magya. Both of these names translate to shield in English. This technology gave them the ability to build massive pyramids. Underneath these massive structures are very large basements that house the tools and technology used to make them. Originally, there were 666,666 pyramids on Earth. Today, we are left with fewer than 100,000 pyramids of different shapes and sizes. Most of the pyramids built in the world have been destroyed over time, not by man, but by a supreme power. In the years following the Exodus, the age of the pharaohs came to an end, and they, along with their technology, mostly disappeared from the earth. There are still a number of the diluted offspring of the pharaohs that are living among us today. They are recognizable by their body and skull structure, as they are the remnants of the pharaohs and still have some physically distinctive features. Some of their technology devices were stolen by people unknown to me. What I do know is that the world elite have access to this technology, which poses a big threat to the entire universe if it is in the wrong hands. EMP and EMLP are technologies that can destroy a country like the United States in less than an hour without warning. I'm not sure specifically who possesses these devices, and I am also unsure if some governments have this technology. I have a feeling and belief that outside of the world elite, Israel and Russia both possess this technology. I do not think the United States has it just yet. TLS has similar devices that I saw through my work with them over the last 10 years. EMP is capable of neutralizing atomic military systems. EMLP is able to disintegrate entire cities in seconds. This technology can build or destroy anything based on the intention of its operator. To my knowledge, no one has found the hidden basements under the pyramids just yet, but I am sure that they are still there. Some of the machinery and equipment that is stored in those basements includes aircrafts or spaceships. They are huge, energetic tools that need to be recharged by the sun every 1,000 years in order to function. There are no batteries. These machines work primarily through the use of the sun, along with magnets. Even the magical staff that we read about in ancient books works with the same energy. These staffs can change the Earth's gravitational pull with respect to a specific object at any given moment. These staffs even have the ability to provide a person with the power and ability to shapeshift, as long as that person was born with the proper genetics in order to do so. These staffs can also cure various diseases. Some of the tools and machines I'm speaking of are under the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. They were hidden there by Mano and Gama before the destruction of the first holy temple. Although these energies and tools can be very helpful and necessary, they can also be very destructive and threatening if used by satanic and corrupted human beings. The power of the pyramid and the pyramid code depends quite a bit on these tools and the energy they can create. These tools were created by aliens. They were not created naturally by the Creator or God. They have been used for thousands of years, but to my disappointment, they fell into the wrong hands. I hope something will happen soon to remove this threat from our universe forever. I believe that in the not-too-distant future, the right people will rise who will neutralize the power of evil and come to find the treasure that lies beneath the pyramids and the dome of the rock. I believe that the knowledge will be exposed to the people and the world will come to the true fifth-dimensional consciousness of the divine self. Whoever does not reach the fifth dimension will simply become extinct from the universe and will not reincarnate anymore. This means that even the spirit or soul will no longer exist in any capacity. Those who shall survive shall thrive, and eventually shall reach higher dimensions, even as high as the 9th or 10th dimensions as a collective communal awareness. In my opinion, these are the days of the Messiah. A new age. In those days, there was widespread use of spaceships. There was a continuous connection between the various stars and the divine self, between the spirit world and the human spirit. The early pharaohs were completely vegan. However, as time went by, they were influenced by humans who corrupted their minds, souls, and bodies through the use of forbidden foods and forbidden actions. Instead of interacting with animals, they started eating them. Even the lions of the royal palace were naturally vegans. Wherever Fatasol landed with their spaceships, they created a superior culture with the leadership of justice and love in order to spread the power of the spirit and the teachings of the spirit. Initially, Pharaoh ruled the nation as both Pharaoh the king as well as the spiritual leader of the nation. Over time, as the nation grew stronger, due to their new culture, happiness and wealth, they divided the tasks among the other Fatasol beings. One was the ruler of the nation, Pharaoh, while the other was the nation's spiritual leader, High Priest. Although Fatasol were housed in a physical body, they were granted perfect spiritual freedom, which completely liberated them from time and space. Because of the divine consciousness, they could move freely between stars and galaxies without the influence of time and space. In other words, they were able to experience the past, present, and future simultaneously. This means that if we are released from the limitations of time and space by true and pure spiritual consciousness, we can lead ourselves through our consciousness as our soul desires, whether it is to a physical or spiritual place. This is done through the purification of the body, the mind, the spirit, and the soul. In such a state of consciousness within the fifth dimension, in a state of gamma or higher, we can reach even higher levels of being, just like the original Fatasol of the original divine race and the pure offspring used to do. Their capabilities had no physical or spiritual limitations. For them, there is no such thing as here or there, or we or they. They were able to differentiate between different perspectives of the one and only reality, which is the beingness that everything is eternal Everything is now. Everything is here. Everything is one, and we are all one. This is the divine consciousness, which is the God and the divine self of us all. This consciousness, even today, will bring us to the highest places. We can move with or without a body. We can leave our body and even levitate with the energy of our body without a magical staff, electricity, or even an external battery. It is all done through our bodies, our thoughts, our brains, our hearts, our souls, and our love for ourselves and others, as well as the one and only eternal Creator, God. Love is power. Our power is incomprehensible. It is power that has given us the ability to build pyramids and spaceships, to heal humanity and the people closest to us. However, today we are imprisoned in a time and space devoid of love, peace, spirit, purity, and freedom. Baraka is a process that can bring just about anyone who wants to invest in themselves to touch the sacred light and become a supernatural being, just as the great Rabbi A.A., Adam, the pharaohs and the high priests were. We can create a spiritual or physical contact between all beings throughout the world, no matter the physical distance, whenever we want, through complete, united, and perfect consciousness. I know it sounds delusional, but it is doable. Fatasol lived in this way and acquired a level of power that is incomprehensible to us today. Baraka must be renewed, and this time it will be accessible to anyone who wants it. Imagine living in a world without time and space, without walls, without borders, without wars, without disease, without vaccines, without toxins, without drugs, and without doctors. A world of love, brotherhood, and harmony. A world of happiness, wealth, eternal abundance, and equality. A world without false religion and a fake book of laws that controls you. A world in which you are the law itself. A world of justice. A world without false rabbis, false priests, or any other corrupt religious leaders. A world without corrupt lawyers and without corrupt judges or politicians. It is doable. It has already happened, and it will happen again. It is better that it happens today rather than tomorrow. We are already on our way to the age of love and the era of endless information and consciousness. We are not far away. In an instant, we will learn the mysticism of water, the mysticism of spirit, the power of the woman, the power of thought, the power of the soul, the power of prayer, the power of forgiveness, and the pyramid code with the codes revealed. This can all happen right here, right now, with full transparency. In our most connected and true form, we are able to identify with every living being mentally, spiritually, and energetically. Imagine talking to animals and loving them instead of eating them. Regardless of our personal ideas and wishes regarding this transition of an era, it will happen. The energy will express itself as it is the manifestation of the energy emanating from the divine source and from the collective divine self. With the help of God, this will all happen in the near future. The power of collective unity will always accompany us and help us in the most difficult times. Once again, I am writing all this information from my memory of my near and distant past. I had special teachers and grand spirits who instilled energy within me that is still incomprehensible to me. I hope that I and those close to me will be blessed with the process of baraka, which, for the most part, I am not familiar with, due to the fact that I cannot remember what it consists of. I have a longing and a deep yearning for the days in my past, the days with Rabbi A.A., who was my teacher, my father, and my rabbi, along with beings like Adam and Fatah Hotep, who were able to instill within me wonderful abilities and memories to this day. They were great and extraordinary spirits and souls. It feels good to share my stories with those close to me. It would feel even better if one day all my information, including my wonderful experiences, energies, and stories, including the book Rays of Light, would be shared by all people with all of the codes revealed. Full transparency. I just hope it is not done with animosity or judgment, but done with happiness, justice, light, peace, and love. I know this day will come. Better today than tomorrow. I hope to have the right guidance and energy to move forward with my colleagues and my loved ones. Love without differentiation. Unconditional love. Love without judgment. Love without fear. The creative power is embodied within us at any given time, in every possible degree and in countless possibilities. This embodiment occurs within us through vibration, movement, and frequency. The stronger and shorter the waves, or embodiments, the more we move away from the concept of materialism without our consciousness. So long as we live in a limited and impure body, with a limited mind and a closed heart, we will not be able to reach the level of consciousness I am writing about, the fifth dimension or higher. I know that today it is difficult for us to understand the guidelines of this consciousness because the waves of thought and waves of ideas within us are limited due to the lifestyle that we live along with the way we were raised and educated. We must take small steps towards a grand goal. The entire universe works and operates through all-pervading frequencies, vibrations, short and long waves, including the divine power and the entire universe's energy. The radiations and energy that I speak of have shaped and continue to shape us as human beings. The very same energies shape the Vata soul that live within our communities, who have been assimilating in our communities for eons and eons. Frequencies, waves, vibrations, positive radiation, and various energies are tools in our possession to move within the physical and spiritual universe. They also offer us indications that something is out of balance. They show us when the vibrational signals in our body go astray. They also give us the power to move and guide the world according to our desire. Of course, this is a process that takes ages according to our limited understanding, but it is doable, and the time is coming. The day will come when my memories prove to be true and real. The day will come when humans will discover and control everything, even the most majestic knowledge. The day will come when perfect consciousness will propel us towards the eternal light. We are close. We are already in the journey towards the age of love, a world of truth. I feel like I've drifted a bit and went into subjects we may find difficult to understand. However, I feel that historical, internal, and spiritual knowledge is essential in order to understand the essence of the Pyramid Code and its eternal code for eons to come. Mysticism of the Pyramid. The pyramids and all their secrets, including the many instruments and basic tools, work, move, and operate based on the gravitational pull of the star or planet in which they are located. The self-consciousness of the Earth, which is in fact our self-consciousness, is the force or energy that attracts all materials in the Earth to the Earth. It does so with a desire for union through gravity, which is part of the divine power. This also symbolizes and expresses the love between creation and nature. We must always work with gravity and not against it. It doesn't matter if you are building a pyramid or a temple. If we work against gravity, everything will fall apart. It is important to understand that the pyramid and its construction in the form of a pyramid is the best and most appropriate structure for preservation over long periods of time. The pyramid structure also holds the most resistance to natural damage. The pyramids were constructed by and according to the laws of nature and in accordance with the various mathematical, physical, astronomical, and astrological laws. In the pharaonic era, astronomy and astrology were considered as one science or knowledge and was called Ast in the Fatasol language. Every minor or high priest had to be proficient in Ast sciences. The pyramid is to be used for a number of purposes: protection, an eternal clock, an eternal calendar, and a tomb for the Fatasol. The pyramids were used as tombs for the purpose of using the divine bodies of the Fatasol beings as an energetic defense for the pyramid, its entrances, and the instruments that exist within it. Pharaoh and the high priest had an energy within their bodies that is also present after they die, which acts as a protection for the doors and gates of the pyramid. They were intended to be the gatekeepers through the use of their internal energy, through preserving their bodies after they died. Normal human beings do not understand this energy because they cannot measure it. However, the supreme goal of the pyramid was protection. Every pyramid was carefully designed and built. Its location, angle, size of each rock, and type of rock all had a specific reason. For example, the angles of the walls relative to their bases was built at 51 degrees for various reasons, one of which was to have the sun's rays reflected to great distances. The pyramid also served as a lighthouse for both humans and spaceships in the day and at night. Laser beams projected from the apex of the pyramid towards the sky, also at a specific angle, to specific stars in order to be in constant communication with different motherships and different stars or planets that may, over the years, become a new home, just as the Earth became a new home for the Fatasol beings in the year 1010, according to the Hebrew calendar, 2750 BC, according to the Gregorian calendar. Originally, All the pyramids were facing different directions according to the stars that they communicated with. However, for reasons unknown to me, most of the pyramids on Earth and every pyramid on any other planet or star, probably in the millions, were completely destroyed after the Exodus. As I stated earlier, there are fewer than 100,000 pyramids left on Earth. All of them are facing north, or the North Star. There is one star or planet in the physical shape of a pyramid that rotates counterclockwise and moves constantly in the heavens for probably eternity. I know today that the pyramid or star is the home for Adam and Rabbi AA, which is most probably their last destiny or destination. The entire history of the aliens is carved on the walls within the secret rooms, secret tunnels, and secret cellars of the pyramids. Transcribed on these walls is the history of the pyramid code as well as the eternal code itself. This infinite knowledge will become common knowledge one day, and human beings will be able to read it, understand it, and use it to decipher the past, present, and the future that all exists in the present moment. Since God is everywhere and in everything alive, humans and animals, plant life, inanimate and spiritual, we must first understand that a pyramid or any other structure is part of God, that is, part of the collective spirit. This means that physical structures are also controlled by the laws of the spirit, the mysticism of the spirit. The third dimensional world is based on the laws of the spirit, which we cannot exist without. This means that a pyramid is as much of the eternal divine being as anything else in the universe. In order to understand these laws, we must first understand God, which is not an easy task. God lives in everything, and everything lives in God. God, in His perfection, can only be understood by those who can or have become God themselves in the 10th dimension. To summarize this insight, only God can understand God. Since we, as human beings, have been cut off from our divine self-consciousness long ago, modern-day man can only describe and understand the concept of God according to their mental capabilities and inner limitations. How can the finite, human, understand the infinite, God? I'm trying very hard to simplify these things before you, and I hope I succeed. It's very difficult to get to the small, hidden details without revealing the code. A reaction is first manifested through a thought, and one cannot experience their own beingness without the act itself. A thought alone does not put one in a true state of being. A thought only comes into being by the act, and the act becomes a reality only if there is at least one witness. This means that reality is only able to exist if there is an awareness or consciousness to perceive it. A correctly built pyramid with equilateral triangles on each external wall transmits necessary energy for the universe. The apex of the pyramid signifies God, eternal power, and unity. Each vertex at the base of the pyramid also signifies something specific. There are 4 vertices in the base of each pyramid that represent the living, human and animals, the plant life, the inanimate, and the spiritual, respectively. All 4 of the vertices are connected in a straight line to the apex of the pyramid through the 4 sides of the pyramid. Fatasol created the laser energy, EMLP, through the connection to the apex of the divine connection according to their vision and understanding. As I mentioned before, the galactic communication to the eternal light was continuous. I believe that even today there is a connection, but perhaps using a different energetic connection without laser technology. Perhaps through the bodies of the ancient pharaohs who store the energy in their bodies up until today. Spiritual laws and physical laws hold the foundations for building the pyramids. Spirit is life, and physical matter is its resistance. Spirit is radiation, and the physical matter is contractive. Through the construction of the pyramid, man is the link that connected the spirit world and the physical world. Without the resistance of the physical, creation as a whole would not be possible. The pyramids, their secret tunnels, secret rooms, and the huge basements on which they sit on were themselves the motherships. Every pyramid can levitate by shrinking its base, fly to wherever it desires, and return back to its place as if nothing happened. This is material resistance. All of this is in the hands of the aliens, the Fatasol, in whom lies the power of the mind, the power of thought, the secret of creation, and the complete understanding of the material world. Only with the proper combination and harmony between the laws of nature, such as the laws of physics and the laws of the spirit, is it possible to reach this level of power. The Hebrews were the builders of the pyramids, but the pharaohs were the architects. Nothing was done out of force or by suffering. It was considered a privilege to the Hebrews to be part of this event in history. The Pyramid Code was not a secret at this point in time. As time passed, it turned to become a secret since the pharaoh rulers abused the power given to them and were no longer to be trusted. Structure of the pyramid. The pyramid consists of 4 equilateral triangular surfaces. Each triangle has 3 equal sides and 3 vertices. The inner surface within each of the triangles is known as the divine surface. God resides within each of the triangles, or the divine surfaces, and is an integral part of the pyramid. The 4 equilateral surfaces on the pyramid allow us to understand that each pyramid has 4 visible divine surfaces projecting from the exterior of the pyramid into the universe, as well as 4 internal divine surfaces radiating into the pyramid. The base of the pyramid is the basic divine surface that consists of a square with 4 vertices. The square radiates its energy through its surface, both internal and external, as well as its 4 vertices to the apex at the top of the pyramid. Each vertex at the base of the pyramid faces a different direction: north, south, east, and west. Each wall or divine surface of the pyramid also faces a different direction: north, south, east, and west. Each vertex at the base of the pyramid provides energy for the living, human and animals, the plant life, the inanimate, and the spirit. All of these vertices, as one, radiate and absorb divine energy from the apex at the top of the pyramid. The apex is always connected by laser or solar radiation to the original divine energy or source. On all of the divine surfaces and all of the vertices, energy radiates and absorbs divine energy simultaneously. The pyramid both projects and receives energy. The pyramid transmits through its divine surfaces the divine energy that radiates outward, but also inward through its internal divine surfaces. The divine surface at the base of the pyramid radiates energy into the pyramid, upward to the apex, towards the spirit, and downward into the earth, towards the physical. When the pyramid rises and flies as it did in the ancient days, one light could be seen coming out of the apex and fall from the vertices on the base towards the north, south, east and west. There were 12 lights at the bottom of the base divine surface in the shape of a circle that could only be seen when flying. These lights symbolized the zodiac. Additionally, there was one light in the middle of the circle that represented the divine light. Even today, there are spaceships that exist in the shape of pyramids exactly how I have described them here. Spaceships exist in many shapes and styles, such as pyramids, cylinders, saucers, flying triangles, and many other different shapes. There are motherships that look like massive industrialized cities that just hover in space, waiting for incoming and outgoing flights. The size of each is unimaginable. Motherships usually hover in space without motion. They rarely move, hover, and fly to different geographical locations. Every pyramid stores worldly power and divine energy eternally due to the way the pyramid was constructed by the Father Soul. Every pyramid was built in different sizes, but every wall is always at a 51-degree angle, with a precise angle relative to the sun. Each pyramid is also connected to the 12-star system in our zodiac. As I said earlier, every pyramid today is facing north towards the North Star. The original pyramids were built by divine energetic powers, but have been preserved through the years by the alien energy, Father Soul, through EMP and EMLP. The pyramid personifies the reality of the divine energy embodying itself in the material world. The divine energy resides in every one of its creations as well as the creations of other beings, aliens, Father Soul, or simply human beings. The four walls of the pyramid personify, signify, and symbolize the divine revelation multiplied by 4. Heavenly winds and the Garden of Eden. God radiates his influence in 4 different ways through the 4 heavenly winds. The source of these energies, the 4 heavenly winds, comes from the Garden of Eden, which is a paradise according to our understanding today. The Garden of Eden is located in Iraq, not far from Baghdad. It is a place that is exposed to the spirituality of the soul. However, it is hidden from the naked eye. The 4 characteristics of the flow of these winds, the heavenly winds, exists in everything that is created on earth. Every wind has a feature as well as an influence. Western wind brings rain, humidity, and warmth. Eastern wind brings coolness and refreshment. Northern wind brings cold and dryness. Southern wind brings heat. It's incredible that all 4 heavenly winds come from the same geographical location and the same energetic source, yet each wind holds within it a different characteristic. How could it be that warm air comes from the south and cold air comes from the north, yet they are both coming from the same source simultaneously? This is one of those secrets of creation. Hidden mysticism. Today, the mysticism is hidden, but the day will come when the mysticism will be revealed and transparent. It will no longer be hidden. The pyramid basically embodies everything that was, is, and will be. The pyramid is the connection created by man between physical and the spiritual. Other than the stone which is visible to the eye, a pyramid is composed of the following basic components. 18 laser lights symbolizing life, which is represented by the number 18 in Hebrew, and the divine energy. In Gematria, which is an alphanumeric code of assigning a numerical value to word based on its letters, the word life, translated from Hebrew, is equal to the numerical value of 18. 10 internal and external surfaces symbolizing divine physical and spiritual giving. The word 10 in Hebrew means to give and also represents wealth between the creation and the creator. The numerical value of 10 always represents 1, which symbolizes oneness. 8 lines connecting the vertices through which energy flows infinitely between the base and the vertex. The number 8 symbolizes infinity. 5 vertices, including the apex at the top of the pyramid, which represents the divine connection that is connected to one's own being. The numerical value of 5 represents the letter He in Hebrew, which symbolizes the divine God. 4 vertices at the spiritual base, 4 heavenly winds, that always point towards north, south, east and west. The zodiac is an integral part of the earth and the pyramids. Without the energetic radiance of the zodiac signs or constellations, the earth and the pyramids would never survive. The constellations of the zodiac surround Earth and are fixed in space. The zodiac constantly emits 12 different energies from its 12 different fixed constellations in the direction of Earth. Within the confines of each of the 12 constellations of the zodiac exist 12 stars that are not visible to those who are not currently at the awareness of the upper levels of the 5th dimension or higher. The 12 stars within the confines of each constellation each spin on their own axis. Additionally, the 12 stars within the confines of each constellation all revolve around the center of each constellation as a unit. This means that there are 144 stars within the confines of the constellations in the zodiac that are not visible to the eye. These stars will only become visible to us when we reach the upper limits of the 5th dimension or higher. Earth's origin of creation is a direct result of the 12 different energies radiating from 12 different constellations of the zodiac in a circular, counterclockwise, motion around the Earth. This resulted in the formation of the physical world. Earth grew into what we know it to be today via an intimate connection with the sun and the solar energy emanating from the zodiac. This eventually turned Earth into a satellite of the sun, and today the Earth is an integral part of the sun and the stars. The Earth is a physical creation that was created through the use of the energies of the stars or planets and the sun. The zodiac is made up of 12 constellations. Each constellation is symbolized by an animal, inanimate object, or soul. Each of these symbolize the spirit based on 4 fundamental points, which are the 4 divine areas of the heavens in a divine being. These 4 fundamental points are 1. Lion, symbolizing the divine surface and fire. 2. Eagle, or scorpion according to today's astrologers, symbolizing the divine surface and wind. 3. Bull, symbolizing the divine surface, earth. And 4. Aquarius, symbolizing the divine surface, water. As I stated earlier, each divine surface is a triangle with 3 vertices. Being that each pyramid has 4 walls, or divine surfaces, when the number of vertices of each divine surface, 3, is multiplied by the number of walls on pyramid structure, 4, we get the number 12. This represents the 12 different constellations within the zodiac. Every constellation in the zodiac has its own uniqueness. For example, Aries represents libido and the force of the spring season. Virgo represents the mother of nature. There are many more examples, but I will not get into astrology right now. I am sure all of this may be quite difficult to understand, especially since I cannot reveal the code that would explain and clarify the connection between the physical and spiritual, between the pyramid and the zodiac, between the creations and the creator. The pyramid. I will do my best to sum up the essence of the pyramid code in a nutshell. Every pyramid in the universe signifies divine perfection, divine spirituality, divine physicality, and eternal light. Every pyramid moves, behaves, transmits, and absorbs spiritual and physical energy through the use of basic principles at the source of the pyramid being. The pyramid is a being, as I have already established. The physical beingness of the pyramid is the power of electricity. The spiritual beingness of the pyramid is the power of thought. The electricity that I am speaking of is not the same electricity that we know of today. It is an electric force that exists in the hands of very few people. This force is not known to the scientists and ordinary people of today. Electricity has spiritual foundations, but it is the material being of the pyramid. Electricity is not seen by the naked eye, and it has no taste, smell, or color. Electricity is not alive or inanimate. However, it can be measured by humans through certain devices that can determine its level of power. Electricity can kill or revive and build or destroy, all at the will of the operator. Electricity is the vital energy that is necessary for the survival of the universe in all its frequencies and vibrations. Natural electricity, as opposed to artificial electricity, or man-made, can provide us with infinite energy and comfort in the modern world that we live in. I am referring to universal, free and natural electricity that does not pollute the earth, the human body, or the soul. Modern-day artificial technology works at a frequency of 50 Hz to 60 Hz, depending on the country in which the electricity is produced. The average Western country uses 400 terawatt-hour of electricity. There is a great deal of this artificial electricity that surrounds us at any given moment. This artificial poison is now essential for the survival of the population today. With such a poisonous creation, it is not surprising that the global frequency has gone astray, along with the frequency of the people living in it. Along with its advancement and comfort, it has also brought various physical and spiritual illnesses that significantly affect the power of thought and the soul. This has caused modern man to go crazy. It has taken us out of consciousness. Everything in the universe moves by electricity or energy, and electricity is an integral part of the entire universe. It is also essential to the various beings who dwell in it and move within it through the use of vibration, frequency, and the power of thought. Electricity is part of our bodies. Every part of the body operates at different frequencies, such as the heart, kidney, lung, or brain. Although different parts of the body operate at different frequencies, the general frequency of the entire body as a whole is 7.83 Hertz. It's interesting that the Earth also works on a general frequency of 7.83 Hertz, which symbolizes life. 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 18, which symbolizes life in Hebrew through the connection of its letters in the Hebrew alphabet. I highly doubt this to be a coincidence. Our bodies are electrical systems, and our neural system acts as the wires that conduct electricity. This electricity vibrates throughout the body with the help of the water, which is about 70% of the body. It is important to note that the Earth is comprised of 70% water, just like the human body. I highly doubt this to be a coincidence as well. Water vibrates at the frequency of 100 terahertz, which symbolizes the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 0 equals 1, which symbolizes oneness that rules everything and anything. The sun operates at the frequency of 5.9642 gigahertz. 5 plus 9 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2 equals 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8. 26, which is the numerical value in gematria for the word Yehovah, which means God in Hebrew, symbolizes the divine power or God, which is infinite. 8 symbolizes infinity. Just look at the symbol used for the number 8 itself. All of these numbers are according to the conversion from the Hebrew alphabet, which was also used by the pharaohs. I truly believe that the conversion of all these numbers is not a coincidence. The entire universe and everything within the universe receives its life force and beingness from natural electricity, which is incomprehensible to us. Scientists have yet to find the source that powers the heart, brain, earth, or sun, which keep us so vital. The fundamental energy of naturally occurring electricity is the same fundamental energy that is intrinsic to thought, every living being, and the building and operation of the pyramid. by becoming in tune with the constitutional energy behind naturally occurring electricity, we can unlock the secrets behind creation and all that is sacred. Thought precedes everything in the universe. Thought is an integral part of creation, the spiritual and physical creation. Thought is the power that connects the entire universe, including the connection between aliens, humans, animals, plants, Fatasol, and God Himself. By the way, we humans are the lowest level of consciousness before plants. Even animals have surpassed us. Humans today are at an extremely low level, far from the fifth dimension. Clean and pure thoughts bring us to eternal consciousness needed to activate not just the pyramids, but the entire universe. The pyramid code is part of the secret of the universe, a secret that we will only reach with the right consciousness. Ever since the time of the pharaohs, human beings were known as the people who contaminated the Fatasol race. Every pyramid receives, provides, absorbs, transmits, and stores EMP and EMLP. Every pyramid moves through the use of magnets in its base, the energy of the sun, and the power of thought of its operators. Every pyramid, regardless of its size or location, can fly to any distance, regardless of space or time. Every pyramid is built of stone or rock that symbolizes the divine surface, the earth. Every pyramid is built and set at a specific angle, 51 degrees, towards the zodiac, the sun, and the North Star. Every pyramid contains 18 laser lights that symbolize divine energy and the divine light, with one always at the apex and the rest at the base. Every pyramid and its divine surfaces are facing and are connected to the heavenly winds and the directions of north, south, east, and west. Every pyramid is an independent spaceship, and some have also served as motherships. Every pyramid has a massive basement underneath it containing tools, instruments, machines, and spaceships. Every pyramid has hidden rooms and tunnels within it, especially underneath it. Every pyramid contains its history and documentation, using the Hebrew alphabet on its inner walls in the secret rooms that was engraved using laser technology. The engravings reveal the purpose of the pyramids, the pyramid code, and the code that activates it. Every pyramid can also shrink by moving the stones and rocks at its base into the pyramid itself. Every pyramid is independent without relying on one another. However, all are connected to the eternal light. Pyramids also exist as structures on other planets in the universe, and they operate with the same foundation like the ones on Earth, only with different levels of gravity, which varies from planet to planet. Only on planet Earth did the pyramids turn into a tourist destination that is desolate and boring. Every pyramid can manipulate natural forces, such as gravity, in any way its operator desires. The pyramid star. Every star in the universe is a circle, except for one star, which is known as the pyramid star. Like all other stars, it has been moving for eons in direct connection with the zodiac and its constellations. However, it is in the shape of a pyramid. The pyramid star contains life, but not according to our limited understanding. Only worthy souls who meet the highest demands of the supreme power make it to the pyramid star. The pyramid star and every pyramid on earth was made, created and operated through the removal of time and space, as well as combining the power of thought together with the physical technologies of EMP and EMLP. The power of thought. The only thing in the entire universe that is faster than the speed of light and the speed of sound is thought. Aliens and human beings that operate spaceships or pyramids activate their crafts through thought combined with the energy of the body. For example, the operator of a spaceship uses his hands to project the internal spiritual energy in order to propel a physical machine through the use of his thought. The main factor in the incomprehensible speed of spaceships today and in more ancient times is thought. It is important to note that the faster soul in ancient times thought on a much higher vibration and therefore, and still are, capable of performing physical acts that appear supernatural to us according to our limited understanding and awareness. The Age of Love. I hope that this documentation has given you a general understanding of the physical and spiritual nature of the pyramid and its teachings. I am aware that it is difficult to understand the true essence without the knowledge and understanding of the different codes, but I hope that the day will soon come that the entire world will be exposed to the secrets of creation, the codes, and the different formulas in order for us to all reach the age of love in strong spirit. This will lead us to pure love, true tranquility, and peace throughout all of humanity. This documentation, unlike the book Rays of Light, was written without codes at all except for the part where I try to explain the essence of the pyramid code. There are no codes in the English text. The day will come when the different codes will be revealed to everyone, and the understanding of this material will be easier to understand. Everyone will be able to apply the knowledge and wisdom of this document both physically and spiritually. All the writing here is purely from my memory of the distant past and the guidance I have undergone and experienced over the last 10 years. As I have already mentioned, the more I learn, see, and experience, the more I realize that I do not really understand anything, and I am still in the beginning stages of my journey. At least I am comforted to know that we are on the right path towards the age of love that we all unknowingly long for. There are many secrets and mysticism within our world, and unveiling it is part of our wonderful journey. We must embrace the process with love and continue towards our destiny. One day, we may all be worthy and reach the pyramid star, the world of truth, tranquility, and love. This documentation has brought me to new understandings. It has caused me to think about my current reincarnation and many other reincarnations, especially my first incarnation from the year 2448 according to the Hebrew calendar, or 1312 BC according to the Gregorian calendar. It opened me up to new channels of thought and different understandings that I reached over the last 10 years throughout my incredible journey that began on January 29th, 2010. Today I understand why Rabbi A.A. did not permit me to document my first incarnation along with my other reincarnations. The world is still not prepared to digest the true nature of the world that we live in. I myself am not prepared for the age of truth and love either. I am a small part of TLS, and with all that I have experienced, seen and internalized, I am still in the beginning stages. What I don't know far exceeds what I do know. What I don't understand far exceeds what I do understand. My consciousness is still low compared to the grand spirits that I was privileged to meet throughout my life. As you might expect, my consciousness rose after the writing of this document. I see things a little differently. However, my path is still long. A new level of consciousness. Through my current job and mission, I have come to a new level of consciousness, something I have never experienced before. On February 6th, 2020, part of my soul family, along with myself, were ordered to perform different actions. Despite my resistance in the beginning, I have personally been sent to one of the most secret and dangerous missions of my life that I very much hope will yield its fruit soon. It may even be published worldwide with an intention to stop the evil, the animosity, and the corruption that the entire world is currently experiencing, while most people are dormant. I am sure that exposing the truth will move the people of Earth into a new and higher consciousness that will lead the entire universe into the age of love and the world of truth much quicker. In this world, race, color, culture, and religion will be irrelevant. It will be a world with no religion except for the religion of love, in the age of love and the world of truth. I realized that all souls that were embodied within me in all my reincarnations are in fact the same soul that connects and splits as required from being to being, from consciousness to destiny and destination. I realized that Rabbi A.A. was in fact an alien. Suddenly, I connected all the events and experiences we went through together and all his actions and talents. He was capable of anything. He was omnipotent. None of this world could have happened unless he was an alien or a supernatural being. Suddenly, I realized that he was actually deceiving me the entire time since our first meeting. In a positive way, of course. He always knew everything and was always everywhere. He had a love that only a supernatural being could give. I feel the same way regarding Adam. It's weird for me to write these things, but I suddenly see and accept things differently. Initially, my relationship with Adam was much closer and stronger, but shortly after he introduced me to Rabbi A.A., he disappeared. Most of the training and knowledge I have received over the last 10 years was directly from Rabbi A.A. and the TLS organization. I know that both Rabbi A.A. and Adam are in the pyramid star. I also know and understand that we all unknowingly long to get there someday. Our consciousness will change in the near future, which will bring us new insights that will lead us on the right path. Whoever does not reach the required consciousness will simply become extinct from the universe with no way of returning through reincarnation. There are many other topics and secrets that I am not permitted to speak of or document for several reasons. I still don't understand why, but at least I am aware that there is a reason. I am also aware that I do not have to know everything. There are hidden things that we will not understand, and not always do we need to ask or investigate. Time will run its course, and providing we choose the right path, we will reach a higher consciousness of the self, which will lead us to our destiny in our current reincarnation. While in the age of light, we will reach our ultimate goal and final destiny of realizing the age of love and the world of truth. Throughout writing this document, many thoughts of my current reincarnation and my past reincarnation have run through my mind. Is it possible that I was also some form of alien in my first incarnation? Is it possible that myself, Jason, or some of my friends within the organization like Tina or Orly are forms of aliens who are unaware? Is it possible that I simply don't remember everything because I am not fully conscious? Is it possible that they, my friends, simply will not remember until they reach their required level of consciousness? Obviously, I don't remember everything. I believe that someone is making sure that I don't remember everything for various reasons. How is it possible that I reached such high abilities in my past reincarnations and lived such a long life without being from the offspring of Fatasol? I know that Amram was a supernatural entity, and thus I conclude that his son, Menachem, must have been part of the same system. It makes me wonder and ask, why? What else do I not remember? When will I get the information needed to continue to my final purpose and destiny? Internal dissonance. I constantly experience a dissonance between the information in my memory and Rabbi A.A.'s remarks regarding his insistence on the Torah as the word of truth and the word of God. I understand that I am aware that the Torah was written and structured by the use of a specific code that I do not know. I know that it is not simply a history book. My dissonance exists because I know that the physical story is not as accurate as the entire world thinks. There are many contradictions between what I remember, what I know, what is written, and what I was taught in school. I have a problem with various spiritual leaders, such as Moses, in the way he is portrayed in history as opposed to what happened in reality. I never understood Rabbi A.A.'s insistence and defense of the scripture, even though we both knew the truth that contradicted the scripture. In every disagreement or question that I had, his response was always the same. Learn and you will know. I never liked this response, but today I understand a little bit more. Without learning and understanding the code, I cannot reach the absolute truth. Since I was a child, I have always expressed opposition and sometimes dislike to the scripture, but I never understood why. A lot of things didn't make sense to me. It even upset me. Everyone saw me as a great heretic. It seemed as though my subconscious clashed with my consciousness and knowledge as a child. I have always shown opposition to Bible lessons in school. As a child, I always asked my father, who is quite proficient in the Bible, and my teachers difficult questions. I never received an answer that satisfied me. There were even rabbis who dared to tell me that I am not supposed to ask everything. There were things such as circumcision that I had to accept as a basic law and as part of being a Jewish soul. Even the term Jewish, Yehudim, causes an internal conflict for me because of the knowledge and memories from my past. In Hebrew, the term Yehudim means the Jewish people. On the other hand, the term Yehudim means the people of destiny. The term Yehudim came into being immediately after the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, an event that is also not accurately depicted. Yehudim is a term that comes from the root word destination, Ya'ad in Hebrew. Until the day the Jewish nation received the Torah, they were called Hebrews or Israelites. The Hebrew alphabet was already in existence from before the time of the pharaohs. The proof of this is that its letters can be found in the inscriptions of the various pyramid stones within the hidden rooms of the pyramids. We, the Hebrews, are in fact not Yehudim, but Yehudim. This means that we are always on our way to our destiny, the age of love. The words destination, my destination, and our destiny in Hebrew all come from the same root word, Ya'ad in Hebrew, which translates to destination in English. Take note that the change from Yehudim to Yehudim is a change of one letter in Hebrew, which alters the entire meaning, essence, and energy of the word. However, they are both pronounced the same way. The term changed over time from Yehudim to Yehudim for two reasons. The first reason is because the term Yehudim is from the root words Yehuda, Hodiah, and Jehovah in Hebrew, which expressed our beingness and the beingness of the Creator. This caused the people to psychologically feel closer to the Creator. God experiences his beingness through our beingness, which means that he experiences existence in the universe and life through us. In my opinion, the second reason for the change from Yehudim to Yehudim was to alter the code of the Bible that I currently do not possess, in a different way that provided and continues to provide the rulers and spiritual leaders the ability to continually control, educate, and guide the people. This was vital to the success of the Jewish nation in reaching the destiny since before the Torah. The Hebrews were not living lives full of moral character. For example, incest, murder, and theft were common problems in the Hebrew slave society, which had no legal consequence, further deepening the divide between them and the divine. A divide between the finite and the infinite that the spiritual leaders of the nation were obliged to connect in order to reach the collective destiny of the nation. In order to guide the Hebrews out of this corrupt mode of thinking and behaving, the spiritual leaders had to adopt a new system of guidance, which led them to change Yehudim to Yehudim in order to achieve their goal and mission in causing the nation to receive and absorb a new level of awareness throughout the different eras that they have to go through the experience that would ultimately bring them to the age of love. All of this was done with the help of the new book of laws, the Torah. The Torah of Moses and the Israelites was given by the divine and Moses for the benefit of the Israelites on earth as a whole. The ability to teach and guide has often been abused over the years, but the initial intent was not a malicious one. The initial intent was one of guidance instead of control. The feeling of being closer to the Creator gave the rulers and spiritual leaders a stronger level of guidance and control of the nation in all aspects. As a ruler or a spiritual leader, it is always easier to put the responsibility on God with excuses such as, He said, He ordered, He demanded, and so on. In Gematria, Yehudi written in Hebrew, is equal to the numerical value of 100. 1 plus 0 plus 0 equals 1, which symbolizes the one and only being, the eternal light, or as we call it, God or Yehovah. Yehovah, written in Hebrew, has the equivalent numerical value of 26, which is equal to 8. 2 plus 6 equals 8. The number 8, as previously showed, symbolizes infinity. In gematria, Yehudi, spelled in Hebrew, is also equal to the numerical value of 19. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1, which represents oneness, and also represents the union between the beingness of God and beingness of man. Yehudi, spelled in Hebrew, is equal to the numerical value of 35 and or 17, in which both represent the numerical value of 8. 3 plus 5 equals 8, or 1 plus 7 equals 8, which symbolizes infinity. In other words, the beingness of God is infinite, which connects and unites the finite and the infinite between man and his peers, and between mankind and God, Yehovah. Rabbi A.A. often avoided answering my questions in the various debates that I raised during our multiple conversations with his famous phrase, "Learn and you will know," or by always making sure to remind me that I am limited. Well, we are all limited, and our paths are long, but our collective destiny and purpose as souls is not far. A bright future. I have a feeling that in the not-too-distant future, the book Rays of Light will be published, and, in my opinion, this documentation will possibly be an appendix to it. I am not sure if it will happen when I am alive or not, and in case it is not, I ask anyone who holds this documentation or the book Rays of Light not to transmit or publish anything without my prior permission while I am alive. For some reason, I am inclined to believe that the mission of publishing it will be imposed on my dear friend Jason. In the case that it does not, that is also okay. I am sure that the book will be published one day, despite my personal objections. Rabbi A.A. always explained to me that nothing is in my control and it will happen when it happens. I have no doubt that it will ultimately happen. In summary, I want to wish and bless us all with good luck, blessings, and abundance towards the age of love through our journey in the age of light, the world of truth, our purpose, and our final destiny with endless abundance, light, peace, and love. After all, we are experiencing endless lives in a universe that has no beginning or end. In fact, it is a universe without time or space, which has always existed, always exists, and will always exist as part of our bodies, our souls, and our consciousness for eternity.